Question everything, for the truth should not be televised. And that's the show. So with that, when you talk black and brown community, you know, when I was coming up as a child, the brown community only had maybe 1 or 2 streets. I'd say 2.5 streets top in our communities, on the outskirts of our communities. And now they are throughout our community. When I was coming up, we had major funding in the sense of the little bit of resources that they did give us to our communities. The little bit of funding that they did allow us to accumulate in order to have small businesses in our community to make it somewhat a Negro or black community, as to say. And as time went on, I watched, we went from the appointed representatives go from trying to get help for our people to this black and brown community. And as I continue to grow up, I watched this new terminology of alliance that never existed of this black and brown community being stated by appointed representatives that's supposed to just represent us, represent this black and brown community. And over time, I watched our communities get sucked dry of the little tiny bit of resources that they already had to bear nothing. And at the same time as that was happening, I watched the Latino communities get more and more resources, more and more opportunities, more and more grants, more and more bank loans, more and more small businesses opportunities that seemingly got sucked away from the black community into the Latino communities. I watched a parade that went through our community that was massive and huge. Similar to what you see in New York and Chicago, many other big parades, to maybe 2, 3 floats. And in turn, today, you see that same parades that's going on in the community still to this day. The Latinos had 2, 3 floats when we had this massive big parade. Today, we got 2, 3 floats. And guess what? The brown community's got this massive big parade. And you only can ask yourself, was we tricked? Was we Jedi mind tricked and manipulated into thinking that we had some alliance with this black and brown community stuff that they was talking, and in turn was tricked in the sense of giving our community away to the Latinos as they give the Latinos more resources than us, more economic growth than us, in order to overtop us in our own communities and have businesses in abundance all throughout our communities. Because we had grocery stores when I was coming up that was Negro owned. Today, you can barely find any. Every street corner that you went on in our communities was black owned corner stores. Today, you be lucky you find one. They all Spanish today. It's like they flipped our community over to an all controlled brown community where we don't control nothing in our community anymore. And we barely control what we controlled in our community before the Latinos got a stronghold in our community. Because the things that we did control, it brought on race riots like Tulsa, Oklahoma, and many other massacres that was brought to us based off of us doing successful in our communities. And then you wonder why Negroes be worried about doing and being successful today. Well, every time we were successful, then we get massacred, genocide, allegedly. Well, we got a history, we can go look it up. See, these are not games. These are not just words being spoken. These things are truths that you can look up, that we sit here in 2024 with no justice for, in a country that says it's a just country today. How can you possibly be a just country today when you won't give reparations or reparative justice for crimes against humanity to a nation of people you keep trapped still to this day under your laws, mass incarcerating them right now as we speak? How can we say it's justice when you won't stand on your own justice to do what is right by being honorable and actually bringing justice in the form of reparations to the Aboriginal Negroes that you owe them? How can you say it's justice today? See, our forefathers said it's just us. Just us, not justice, just us. You got to separate it because they control the law, they manipulate the law, they write the law, and then they enforce the law on you as Aboriginal Negroes in your community. So is it justice or is it just us? Just them controlling the narrative on what it is to control law in the form of what they call criminal law, because when law was created, it was created by criminals who had did holocausts against the people who now are writing laws into the books for you to have to abide by. Is this a reality? Allegedly? Well, these are things you need to think about, because at the end of the day, this is what we're dealing with. So when we look at this alliance of black and brown community, to me, it's just a trick in a trick bag to give away our community, so that way when 2030 come around, there will be no more black communities. There will be no more Negro communities. There will be minority communities and controlled narrative of brown communities that have overtoppled the black community. Thus, you have no more say, nor no more ability to push your plight as Negroes or black folks in your community anymore, because now your community is now dominated by Latinos. And now their word, their cries are now louder than yours, even though they haven't been through nothing you've been through when it comes to dealing with United States government and atrocities that this government has brought to the Aboriginal Negroes of America. The Latinos have been through none of that. But yet, their cry is going to be louder than you in the communities that you used to be dominant in, that are no longer controlled by you, nor is looking like your community anymore, thanks to your appointed representatives that look like you. Right, guys? Right, ladies? That represented us to our demise? We thank you as Sambos today, allegedly, right? So with that, what do you think? Was it a trick bag, this black and brown community, to sell the black community out to the brown community in order to give them a stronghold in the country, as well as a stronghold over our community, to the point where now they're getting major economic growth by the system of the United States over us in order to crush us and back us into a impoverished corner that we already was dealing with, ghetto slums and hoods? Is this a war weapon of a nation utilized against our people and mechanized against our people to crush our people? Narrative of what has happened to us under the United States watch when it comes to enslavement, Jim Crow laws, KKK and lynching, you name it. Because this is that reality of what we sit today. We have no allies. Therefore, you don't see no other nations coming out like we came out for all the other nations that was going through their problems dealing with white supremacy. We came out in drones to combat white supremacy for them, and in turn they turned their backs on us. You don't see none of them coming out today trying to get us reparative justice in the form of reparations, meaning money and land owed back to our people. You don't see none of them with boots on ground protesting and boycotting to help our people out. You see all of them shunning us, turning their nose up against us and turning their backs on us after we fought for their nations to have a foothold in the United States. And there's a history behind that that will point it out, prove it, and acknowledge that our nation of people have done this already for all these other nations, and they have not yet stood arm in arm, hand in hand, side by side to get us reparations at all, as they come to the country today getting buku money. This is just that reality. And with that, I just don't get it. I just don't understand it. But that is the question. You let me know. Peace, peace.